Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Pride of Olympus, we restart the journey. And with me are Bob Vosseller and Thomas Punton. Greetings, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing great.
Greetings. I'm doing good.
Now, a lot has happened since we started our journey, so we're going to start it. We're going to kind of like relaunch it or reimagine it and launch from the beginning. I was off Facebook for quite a while, and that slowed things down. And then there were all sorts of other challenges that came up that kind of took us off track. Then Blog Talk Radio went out of business, so our thousands of radio shows got erased. So
Oh,
Oh,
that's okay. We have the ones we have on YouTube and some ones from when I had the show years ago. Somebody burned them on CD for me, so I have that. So someday, when I'm totally retired, I'll learn some more editing techniques and I'll probably play with those and get them out there. So, Bob, what has been happening in your neck of the woods fandom-wise since we last focused on the Pride of Olympus?
well, my chapter in Starfleet, the USS Challenger, we've been keeping pretty active. This month alone, we went to the Creation Con in Whippany, New Jersey, and joined some of our fellow chapters from Maryland and Pennsylvania and New York, and it was a lot of fun. Got to meet some interesting guests. Doug Jones, who plays Saru in Star Trek Discovery, was
Oh,
there.
great.
Very, very affable, very, very friendly man. And there was some other, of course, the original, Deep Space Nine ladies of Terry Farrell and Nana Visitor, and the actress who plays Esri Dax, who Nicole DeBoer, and they were a lot of fun too, and it was a good lineup. Um, and that's an interesting hotel to hold it in. It was accessible and it was fun, and we were there for a day, and we had a Starfleet table, and it was a good time had by all. So that was cool, and we're looking forward to having our Region 7 conference next month on Columbus Day weekend over in Fairfield, New Jersey, with a good sized crowd. So we're excited about the fall. A lot of things are happening in the autumn. So.
And you are the head honcho now for District 7. Is that not a Region 7?
Yeah, Region 7 is spinning, and we're doing well. And Starfleet itself is an election season, and we're electing a new president. So actually, there's no other candidates. So and I was certainly not stupid enough to want to run the whole show. The region is enough, and the chapter is enough. So, but that's what's happening, and next year will be the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, and I got myself opened my big mouth, and I'm now the chairman of the committee that's trying to tie in the 60th anniversary to all the many Starfleet activities and departments and stuff like that. So we'll
Wow.
be we'll be doing an event, I'm sure.
I'm looking forward to vicariously experiencing that through interviews. Thank you very much. And Thomas, how about you? What's going on? Are you still doing Symbacorificin?
every now and then, yes. I've been more focused on my relative Mrs. of Time, Temphia Moonlight, on Star Trek Online. She actually just joined a fleet that is actually if you remember, the Federation also has their temporal authority, and
Oh,
she just recently joined a little group of that doing temporal adventures and all that. One of their members is a guy named Sam Beckett. He now sounds familiar. Put right what's been wrong, and where the Enterprise suit and all that. But yeah, yeah, I've been doing a lot of selling beat art actually, and Tempia's actually been selling it two prides actually that we've had, one in Fargo, one in Grand Forks. The one in Fargo, actually, we started up our new drag group called the Cave Network that will be starting up and hopefully get some shows going on and all that matter. But Yes, I every so often when I ever get a chance to stream on Twitch, I've been streaming over Star Trek Online and all that. And I also did stream also Star Trek Insurgents on the PS5. It's kind of like Star Trek Mass Effect, sort of, where you basically have to make decisions, and what your decisions depend on the relationships with all the other characters and all that. And there's reaction commands too, just like it is. And the big thing was one of the two characters you play as is the lieutenant commander of the ship, who ends up being captain for a briefly period of time. And you get to feel like what it is to be in that captain's chair. And then when the captain shows up, the fact of saying you did not follow orders, I pulled a Riker and I stood my ground because I felt great. I
So
would clip.
right now, there's lots of online Star Trek and great, I'm sure, cinematic quality graphics.
It's a really good game. I highly recommend it. There's all different outcomes for whatever you do throughout the course of the story and all that. But yes, it's and with Tempe also, a dear friend of mine named Angel actually gave me a nice 23rd century shirt to wear whenever I stream on Twitch and all that. So that has been so much exciting. Oh yeah, and by the way, I did adopt a kitten back in December.
Yeah.
Aw.
Her name is Ziggy, named after the computer system from Quantum Leap. Say hi, Ziggy. Yeah, hey, I'll put you down.
So
But yeah,
is Ziggy in the fleet? Because I remember Bob had said in his Starfleet they had a ship for or a department for pets.
Pet fleet. Yep.
A
yeah,
fleet.
yeah.
Okay, I stand
Pet
corrected.
fleet. Yep.
Well, well, she's about to turn a year old next month, so she's still going through the academy right now. So she'll eventually get there.
I'm sure she'll do great.
Of course.
So I haven't been to a convention in a very long time, and now I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's and also I've arthritis of the spine. So my
Mm.
convention days are probably numbered. I'm doing better. I exercise a lot and I'm taking medication. I'm going to therapy for my body, and but anyway, that part of the fan experience is going to go on the back burner, and I certainly can't compete with cinematic um, games. I remember when playing by email and also the graphics you could get on your Commodore 64. I designed a couple of games. One you were Klingon on Federation planet, and there were tribbles, and you had to find the Klingon knives in bushes, and you had to avoid the Federation starship vessels shooting at you. So I was able to do that on my own. I can't even begin to program the computers. So what can we do? Cosplay now, there are computer printers and people have costumes that we could never have made back in the day, even though there's a lot of costuming. Uh, what would you do to provide a unique experience in fandom that isn't being provided right now?
Well,
Mm.
I know, like back in the millennia, I used to be part of. I don't know if you're familiar with the Star Fox game series that Nintendo does. I used to have been part of a Star Fox role play that actually initially it was like by email at first, but then when remember ICQ, we used to form a chat room and actually role played it, and one of them was a DM that would roll for how successful each of our moves we used to do. So in a way, that could be done the same thing with Star Trek in a way. But that was something that did many moons ago. Was fun in a way. We just basically just typed out what we did and see if it was successful what we did, and yeah,
I think you did that with me too. I tried starting a play by Facebook game.
yeah,
It was in Greek mythology, and I did like two or three of them. I think you or maybe both of you were there for part of that.
yeah.
That was very successful.
Mm.
So is there anything like that in the like tabletop role playing, but by computer?
Mm.
Well, I also part, and this is thanks to my dear sister Thera and her husband. They role play a game called Neverwinter Nights that I role play on there. One of my characters on this nice little gnome bard named Eddieland. It is we have to click the inventory equip and all that, but it goes by also Dungeons and Dragons world rules that's action based. But it
Pam,
also you can role play on there too.
can you wait 1 second, Thomas? Let me, Pamela's calling. Nope.
Okay.
Pamela's no calling. Let me see if I get her. Sorry about that. Hi, Pamela. We're on the air.
Tried. I really tried.
Okay. Well, thank you for trying. We'll figure it out for next time.
If I remember. I hate laptops. Oh God, I hate laptops.
Be well.
Thank you.
Okay. She tried to get on, but wasn't able to. So
Oh.
until next time. So I'm sorry I interrupted you, Thomas.
No, it's all right. It's a game that's existed for a long period of time. It's called Neverwinter Nights, and there's all these different types of servers that you can get in, create a character, and all that. And it's completely free to install on Steam. That is existed. I didn't know it existed until my sister introduced it to me. That they've been playing for years on there, and it's virtual and all that, but you can also role play on there too.
That sounds like an option. Can you send me information on that?
Yeah, I can. I'll give you the link to the Steam page.
Thank you. And Bob, how about you? What can you imagine or suggest?
Well, can't really suggest this for everybody, but I know that one form of, I know it's not really role play, but it's certainly putting yourself into the realm of the fictional Star Trek universe, is something that I'm getting back to this fall in trying to help my wife and my friend, and actually Challenger's friend, Terry Tellick, who lives or actually Terry Bird, that's his character name, in for his fan film that we were shooting last year and thought we were done with. And unfortunately, he had some problems with, his laptop and lost some footage, and got a new camera and wants to use that to reshoot everything, and asked that my wife get a better period costume than what we had. So we're going to be reshooting all those scenes, and I've
Oh,
got to
wow.
relearn all my lines again, which I had down pat. And I was hoping that my scenes were at least usable, but nope. No, we're both going to be reshooting that, and then during the summer it just became impossible. I know he was hoping to get us at that time, but the facility that we hope to use, it's a lot. It's on green screen, a lot of it. It's not really shooting outside or anything, but and it's about 10-15 minutes long. So, but you would be amazed how long it takes to do everything. Terry's really worked hard on it. He spent a lot of money on the special effects. I mean, thankfully, those were not lost. Um, so he's got the kind of, some scenes done, but, ours has to be reshot. So I play Admiral Winston. I kind of, set up the scene and send a starship on its way. My wife plays the first officer, and Terry's the captain of the ship. And then there's some virtual reality people, I guess, in the background and stuff like that. But it's really cool. I like the script, and I look forward to finishing the project, and I just hope that I can remember. We'll have to review the script and start memorizing it all over again, because we've certainly forgotten it by now.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It was fun to do. It was more work than I thought that it would be, but it was satisfying, especially when we got to see the scenes and things like that. He wants to change it. That was another reason why he wanted to change it, because originally we had a table there, and that didn't work as well. I mean, I didn't see any flaws, but he and his special effects person saw it. So they're going to CGI the table in front. That will be a change, which the audience won't notice. But no, it was, and we shot it at Challenger's headquarters in the Seaside Heights Community Center, and so we'll be doing that, using that facility. Oh, and we also used another place when that wasn't available. So the process involved is very interesting, even for a fan film. There's a lot of things that go, that affect that. The editing, the sound, we once forgot to put a mic on, and we all three of us had forgotten, because we were trying to help each other. And I did some of the camera work, when
Oh, wow.
Terry shot some of his, so I got to do some of that. And even for a 15-minute project, it takes hours. Just to
Yes.
get it right.
I made
So
one movie, and it was like a 60-minute movie, the edited version. Then we had a longer version that we shot on television. And it took, we figured, like 9 hours to do 3.5 minutes. Between the different shooting
yeah.
takes and the editing and the adding music and effects and all. Yeah, so 9 hours for 3 minutes. So yeah, it is very time consuming. And I had Guillermo del Toro in my movie. I had Ray Harryhausen in my movie. I had Lloyd Kaufman,
Oh wow, that's
Roma,
cool.
Wow.
and then I had the TV show, and that too, that would take it was a 1 hour show or a half-hour show, depending on where we were airing it. And that too, it took like 2 weeks to put together, like a light to no effects show, no music or
Yeah.
anything, just talking to people and going from place to place. But yeah, it's a phenomenal amount of work.
Yeah, the original Spaced Out, when we did that in the mid '80s into the '90s, was similar format. We would go to cons and or comic book stores, or and interview guests and things like that. Then have the studio scenes, which was literally my parents' basement with a nice
Uh-huh.
backdrop and everything, and to schedule somebody to be there, my co-hostess and myself, and we would be sitting there, and we had to have someone shoot, and you know um that was time consuming. It was fun, but it was time consuming. So it boiled down to, it was either going to be the show continuing or being involved in the club, and we couldn't do both. It was just very time consuming, and so that kind of went to the wayside. Well, so did lease cable, because that's how we did it too. We would just literally drop off the VHS to the station,
Yeah, I
which
remember those
no
days.
longer even in Seaside Heights anymore.
I had to drop one off to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, one to Queens, one to Brooklyn. We had to like
Oh
play
wow.
boroughs, and we had to
Wow.
deliver the tapes. Some of them were on mini DV cams, some of them were on DVD, some of them were on VHS, some of them were on 3/4, depending on who I can get together to film an episode. And Lloyd Kaufman wrote a book. Everything I needed to learn about movies, I learned from the Toxic Avenger. And he had a chapter in there about how he was making movies even when he didn't have a camera. And I knew exactly what it was like, because sometimes I couldn't get people to film the show, but I still had to work on the show every day and do whatever I could do that didn't need cameras. So that when I was able to get a camera, I had a list of all the different things we had to do with the camera. And I also found out that having somebody who was reliable was better than having somebody who's brilliant, because brilliant
Yeah.
people sometimes wouldn't show up and then you're screwed, or they'd be so picky, with everything that you couldn't finish the day's, filming, and you'd wind up, with scheduling nightmares. So it was an education. I did learn a lot from working with the Toxic Avenger. Thomas, you've been involved in productions also. Were you ever involved in a Star Trek or science fiction production?
Not not in a Star Trek production per se. It's been mostly just been either just role play online. I used to be part of like Star Trek role play rooms for many years, long ago, like 20 years ago. But nothing produced anything. I know that there is like a local Star Trek chapter in our area that I haven't joined yet. I've been to some of their meetings a couple of times. They do sound very interesting, don't get me wrong, but I haven't produced any of that yet. Well, Tempia did a little drag video based on the old song Star Trekkin', if you want to count that. Classic song. But, Star Trekkin' across the universe. But it was, which was a really nice testing of my editing abilities, because the fact of doing everybody, every I would do all the parts of Hera, and then do all the parts of Spock, and then do all the parts of Bose, and then do the proper editing, get it all together. It was a challenge, but yeah, that's really the only thing that I've done recently was just a drag video of Star Trek in, which classic song. And I did perform at a drag show too because we did a sci-fi themed show, so it was only appropriate to perform it too. Kids loved it.
Did you film it?
Not of the drag performance. I have pictures of it though that were taken.
Please share those. I'd love to see them. You
Yeah,
should privately or publicly, whatever you'd like, but that's something I'd like to see.
I certainly will.
So would it make sense that eventually when we like officially restart, because I have a bunch of small groups to talk to first and get everybody on the same page and hear everybody's feedback, do you want to dress up for these shows? The Greek Starfleet, the Olympian Starfleet uniform is basically gold lame. That's if I remember correctly, with Boomer and Strato nice. So that shouldn't be that difficult for me to get together. But do you guys want to dress up as your show personas in a costume, or is that too much?
If you wanted me to be as Cynthia for this, I certainly can. Because yeah, I mean, I could use use my favorite student, and I do also have the Athena dress that I don't know well, which reminds me, I need to stream Hades 2 one of these days. But anyway, yeah, I could totally dress. That's no problem.
Okay, fantastic. How about you, Bob?
I have enough uniforms and things. I was looking for something appropriate tonight, and I realized really the only thing Greek that I have was my Wonder Woman t-shirt, my Thor t-shirt, but I ended up staying with my Jersey Devil.
Oh, very
It's
cool.
kind of mythical. But no, I'm a ham. I wouldn't mind at all. No.
That brings up another question. In addition to the science fiction shows, they're in the minority actually, the science fiction. I have a lot of metaphysical things. So like I have UFO Entity Enigma, where we talk about the different beings that inhabit the UFO literature and the planet places that they came from, planets or planes or multiverses or our imagination, whatever, discuss different theories. And I started one recently on cryptids. It's called Mythical Monsters, Creepy Cryptids, and something else. I forget. Anyway, so we started that. Are you guys interested in those type of things too? Would you like to participate in that?
Yeah, on
Really?
occasion. Yeah, that would be fun. That's an interest of mine. I was watching one of the on the Travel Network, I think it was the other day, something similar about cryptids, and they focus on, of course, it's usually Bigfoot, but it's other creatures as well, Mothman and things like that, and so that's always fun.
Okay, to Thomas?
Oh yeah, I don't know if any of you have played the Animal Crossing series, but the one thing that I always have learned from that was the rarest fish you could ever catch that was called the coelacanth. It was a fish that scientists had once thought was extinct, but then they found them off the coast of South Africa. The big long fish
Yes.
that was just yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
those were thought extinct for billions of years, I think, and then they're still swimming around.
yeah. So yeah, I would be interested just as much about a lot of the ancient creatures that exist.
Okay, great. I'll let you guys know when we have openings on that show, and if you're interested, you're more than welcome. Most of the people on the show are authors or investigators, so it's an interesting bunch of people. Some people just study, some people go out in the field, some people write about it. So
Hmm.
it's always educational. And what everybody believes, even though everybody's perspective is different, everybody's respectful of other people's perspective. So we have people who believe in the messages from UFO groups, and there's people who think that's bullshit. But it's all respectfully, they share opinions, and everybody gets along fine. So that's what I aim for, because we're not going to see the world the same way, because we're not the same person, and we haven't stood in the same places and experienced the same things. So it's good to express a different perspective, and this way the other person knows what you see from where you stand, and they can hold that up as a mirror to what they believe, and sometimes come up with a new perspective to share.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And role-playing game. I'm not that free to do role-playing games right now, but I could probably do a by Facebook one. Would you guys be interested in that, or are you too busy?
I can when I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too. I mean, I am very busy, but I've never done that before, so I'd be interested in trying at least, because I don't think I've ever done that. So that would be kind of fun to explore.
Okay, it's a pretty simple thing. It used to be by email or by letter even. People used to do it before computers were all over the place, where the dungeon master would write a description and then you would say what you're doing. And then you'd send it
Oh,
back to
okay.
the dungeon master either by email or by letter or whatever. And then that would get some things happened, some things didn't happen based on a dice roll. And then that gets put down like a report or a written thing. And then eventually they used to publish them in books. So we had like a lot of, when I was doing the Klingons, we had a lot of magazines that were publishing these stories of what was unfolding and including people's reports, including people's accounts. And the story used to unfold, and then we find a good place to leave it on a cliffhanger until the next magazine and so forth. So it would be like that.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
cool.
that's so fun.
Okay, that's something that I could start. Anything that you can recommend that we could also do?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Maybe once in a while, although maybe this crosses over to some of the other programs that you do, Hercules, look at some of the classic, you know, 80s fantasy films and, sword and sorcery and things like that. But I think you might already be doing that on a different show. But, you know, every so often I get some messages on my feed or comes up on Reels about, some trivia about the good old ladies, 1980s, when,
Yes.
when we had those wonderful, cheesy uh, fantasy films, sword and sorcery, uh, and some not so cheesy, some downright fun. So, and who's to say cheesy was bad? But the 1980s seemed to like it thrived at that time.
I have all those films
Mhm.
somewhere in some form on VHS, on DVD, on Blu-ray, and I have magazines and books and comics. My Conan collection was destroyed though during a
Oh,
hurricane. Our whole basement flooded, and
oh,
most of my
Oh,
Savage Sword of Conan's went. And the insurance company said we couldn't get reimbursed for them because it was an act of God. So I asked them, which God? You know,
yeah,
yeah.
not Crom, not Crom.
which God would destroy my Conan collection? We're in that
Oh,
God. Okay, I do have shows to deal with those things. So in Sword and Sandal Cinema, we sometimes do sword and sorcery. We sometimes do retro sci-fi. So I can invite you if you're interested in doing those shows. And I'm always needing like guest hosts or co-hosts or people to interview. So I could definitely put you down for that. How about you, Thomas? What would you be interested in?
I would say like the role play and the sorcery would also be. Oh, I would be interested in those just as much.
Okay, I will put you down for those as well. The premise basically, and I'll briefly summarize because I've told this story a million times, I'm sure to you, but basically in the 1980s, I wanted to do something with Greek mythology. So I had discovered role-playing games pretty early on when they came out, and by 1980, I was actively involved. I was a forever dungeon master, I still am. So I've actually only played like 3 times in anybody else's games. I'm always the one designing the games. So I was designing something with Greek mythology, and I thought it would be interesting eventually to take the episode of Apollo on Star Trek and to combine that with a story that was in Marvel Comics with Hercules being kicked out of Olympus and wandering the bigger universe. And he had like Apollo's steeds of the sun, and he was traveling around. So I thought it'd be really cool to combine those stories and do a role-playing game set in those stories.
Well, I remember that we were planning to do that with my Simbako Ficken character that Simbako would meet up
Yes,
with Hercules, and to try to find Apollo.
Yes, that was the original thing, and I'm sorry we didn't get to it last time, but I'd like to return to it now because I've always wanted to do it. So I'm in my late 60s. I'm not getting younger, so I want to do this thing. It's like I'm lying in that bed and not
Yeah,
getting
we're all
old. Like,
getting older.
we finally got to do that. Like 50 years it took, or 40 years. So anyway, so Hercules was trying to find out what happened to Apollo because they stopped communicating with Apollo. So it was set in that universe, but nobody wanted to do that. So I introduced Marvel's Thor and Hercules and the Marvels, and I got a few other people interested, but not enough to really start the role-playing game. So then one day I was reading through Fastest book on Klingons or something like that, and people were saying, "Ooh, Klingons! Ooh, Klingons! Ooh, Klingons! You can do a role-playing game with Klingons?" So it's like, all right, I'll do Klingons. So I took everything in the mythology and I Klingonized it. So I created a persona that was like half Hercules, half Thor, part Conan, and I was Cthor. And we started doing the conventions. And I took the story of Hercules and the chariot and looking for Apollo, and I made that part of the role playing. But everybody had a Klingon bird of prey. So everyone was having a great time with that. So I had like Alf as a villain. He became a Silver Surfer for Galactus, and I had Wookiees, and I had all sorts of creatures from different sci-fi universes, and it was like tongue in cheek. But eventually went to creation conventions, and I talked to Adam, and I forget Adam's partner's name. Do you remember?
Gary.
Gary. And I
Yeah.
talked to Adam and Gary about doing security dressed as a Klingon, and that I had other people who dressed as Klingons who would do Klingon security. So he had me talk to Kathy. So Kathy loved the idea, and she joined my Klingon tribe, and she made a Klingon Gallifreyan character because she was very heavily into Doctor Who, and she had a Doctor Who club. So that's how we started at creation, and that's where I met you, Bob.
Yeah. Gosh.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something to go back to. I mean, I've been to creation cons within, recent years every so often. Um, but this one was very well done, and it kind of brought it back a little in nostalgia of those days because for the first time in a very long time, we struck a deal with Creation, and we got a table, and we even got a discount on admission. Of course, we had bought our tickets early on, so Emily and I didn't get to benefit from that, but I was happy that the Starfleet, several of the Starfleet members did, and our Region 7 recruiting officer who kind of set this up, he and his family got tickets, so I was happy for him because he spent a lot of time at the table. So it was, and the table was right next to, right across from like Doug, uh, can't think of his last name now, Doug Jones, and some of the other guests who were, had their autograph table. And so that was perfect. We got to have a chance to chit chat with them a lot since they were right across from us. So it had that kind of a small creation con feel to it. It was very nostalgic to those early days in New York, that and even some of the shows in Philly from our bygone days. It was very nice.
Everyone used to go in for free back in the day because we were part of the entertainment. We did security, and we did.
Yeah, we didn't get everybody in for free, but this one, I mean, in this case particularly, but yeah, we did the security detail thing too at times, as Starfleet, but you know, that you were practically working that whole time, at some of those cons. So this was nice. This was a nice balance, and I look forward to their return to Whippany. I think this weekend they're doing the Battlestar Galactica convention.
I
Uh,
love Battlestar Galactica, both the ancient
yeah,
one and the new one.
it's I think most of the guests are of course from the reimagined, which is fine. But unfortunately I was tied up and finances and everything. But I was happy to be at the Star Trek one earlier this month. But I hope it does well, and it's at the same location in Whippany, New Jersey. So
How about we start with the Star Trek universe and the Battlestar Galactica universes, both original and reimagined? Sound good to you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
How about you, Thomas?
I'm a little rusty with my Battlestar Galactica, but I can work with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still going to use the same storyline that we're looking to see what happened to Apollo, and while we're at it, we're going to see what happened to all the other missing Greek mythical figures over the years. And again, that'll be the ongoing exploration. And since we're Olympians, universes, there are plenty of time we could travel, so we have a lot of flexibility in going back and forward and looking at different ways an event might play out. And of course, visiting all the references to Greek mythology, and there are plenty in both Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. So does that sound agreeable to both of you?
yeah.
That works.
Okay. Now, you're near me relatively, Bob. You're here in New Jersey.
Hmm.
And you, Thomas, are out in Minnesota?
North Dakota.
North Dakota, okay.
You're close.
So you're pretty far. So we shouldn't plan very many local things and count on you to be here.
I wish I could.
Do you want to be our ambassador or emissary?
I can be the bester, yes.
Okay, very cool. And do you want to create a new Greek character, or do you want to um, keep the characters that you already have?
I'll keep the characters I already have because I could have some vodka. Then Tymphia would be handy because since she is the mistress of time, she can time travel. And I did once also create a character in the Marvel universe as well who was a mutant, so he could be handy too.
Very good. And aside, the Marvel multiverse role-playing game seems pretty interesting. I have the first couple of books, and I'm waiting for the Avengers to get a little cheaper. It came out at like 40 something bucks. I'm waiting till it hits like 28 or something before I pick that up. And how about you, Bob? Do you want to be Bob Vosseller, Admiral of Starfleet, or do you want to be something else?
I probably will stick with Bob Vosseller because I know him best. But
Okay,
I have a funny
that's a good point.
But I have a funny story. When I first got into fandom, in addition to having, Bob Vosseller using my own name as part of when I was part of the Avenger, um, I also had created, I was always a big fan of Andorians. I loved Andorians, and I even made, or with the help of my aunt, I think I had the white wig and the paper mache antenna, except it protruded into my head and it gave me a headache all the time. But I was at a couple of cons. I did the whole blue thing, and I was Andorian, and my character was Tarek, Tarek. I'm not sure how I came up with that name, but that was just, the name. So the other day I'm driving around and I'm getting stuck in traffic, and lo and behold, a car is ahead of me, and the license plate is Tarek. And it
That's a
just
great
brought back
synchronicity.
memories. It's like, wait a minute, is this? I want to see the driver. Is he blue? Is he?
I love when that happens.
Yeah, yeah.
The Star Trek Online has their own DJ radio, and they had a DJ on there that it was an Andorian called DGG, and he make his introduction, say, "Greetings, pigskins."
Well, I was happy to finally get at another convention years later the actual real wig, but it was probably for a woman because it was very long. So the hair was very long. So I ended up chopping, part of the hair off now. So, but I have that up in the attic too. I hope it's in good shape, but I haven't gone blue in a long time. So one of these days, uh,
Yeah, that'd be great. And so occasionally you could be someone else if you want. And I was thinking about your wanting to look at old movies. If we can, for this particular show, if we can combine it to science fiction,
mhm.
We could do maybe once every 3 or 4 months a movie show where we see a movie ahead of time and then we talk about it on the show. And it'll be a schlocky science fiction movie with mythic overtones of some sort.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be fun.
And a lot of those movies are free on Tubi or on Amazon or someplace, YouTube. So I'll research them before I suggest them. So I will work on that too, and we could plan that. And what we do, or we could have a special where we could do one once a month or once every 2 months. We could have a special movie night because we can't go to the movies together.
Yeah.
So we could watch it in our own leisure and then talk about it together. Because that seems to be a very big Star Trek tradition. I remember when we had our group, we used to go to the movies like once a month and see something as a group.
Yeah. This summer we as a group we went and saw Superman, and then the following we waited because there was a big convention during the big premiere week, and we actually try not to do it on the premiere week because for a big movie like Superman, so seating and everything. So we did it later, and then the next week after that was Fantastic Four. So we did it 2 weeks in a row, so 2 weekends in a row, and it was a lot of fun because then, of course, we had to hit a diner and sit there and go over like what we liked, what we didn't like, what we thought was cool, and me being the big comic book geek, there were some of my members who were like, "Okay, explain the significance of this," and so I had to do that. So.
I haven't seen Superman or the Fantastic Four yet. Thomas, have you seen them?
I've seen both of them. I mean, as a Fantastic Four fan, I had to go see First Steps, and yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure if Stanley and Jack Kirby were alive today, they would have been tearing up happiness.
Yeah, this one got it right for the,
Yeah,
it really tied in a lot of nice points to, and setting it in the 1960s or retro 1960s was a really cool idea because at first I wasn't too keen on that, nor was I keen on a female Silver Surfer, but it kind of did work. So I like, because I'm kind of a purist with my characters, but Fantastic Four was a lot of fun, as was Superman. And I think that's what made both those films work. There were, I wouldn't say either were absolutely perfect, but you're not going to get perfection. But it was
No.
both of them were pretty darn close. Yeah.
I mean, they were the great improvement compared to the prior versions. I would say that.
Yeah, well, the 2015 version of Fantastic Four was so bad, it made the Roger Corman version that never was released look good, in my opinion.
Which
That I have. I
speaking
have
of,
a version of that, the Roger Corman, and then a
Yeah. Who
documentary.
who did cameos apparently in
yeah,
the Fantastic Four in
yeah,
this
yeah,
Fantastic Four film. Yeah.
yeah, because in the opening montage, there's like an opening montage, and they do all these different people say, "Thank you, Fantastic Four," and one of them there's a circle that has three guys and one woman in it, and it's the original four actors from the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. So
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
31 years, they finally got on the big screen,
Yeah.
That is
even if it
great.
was brief.
So you
But
want to cover
the
superheroes?
Roger Corman version was much closer in at least material and tone and effort and spirit than the awful 2015 Fox version that they
And
did just to maintain the rights to it.
And if you ever want to, if you go on YouTube, there's a documentary called Doomed that is about making the Roger Corman film, and they got all the actors and the producers and all that to do interviews for the whole thing.
Yeah, I have that too. I forget where I got that. I think at a convention or online or something. But I have Doomed also. I'm looking forward to seeing both of them. I've been watching. I watched Ironheart, the series. Now I'm watching the
Yeah, okay,
Peacemaker
that I did
series.
not catch yet. Oh.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't like it, but then again, I liked the Eternals. I liked Love and Thunder. I seem to like things that other people aren't going to be too happy about. But I love the movies. They're entertaining. I don't expect them to be perfect works of art. But I'm glad that these movies exist and that I got to watch them. Who'd have thought that there ever be an Eternals movie? And I got to see one. So
Yeah, that was a big
Mhm.
surprise because of all the properties that Marvel has, I never saw the Eternals happening. So, and Eternals was a comic book that I didn't really follow. So to me, whatever they did was kind of new. I mean, I knew enough about it, but I didn't. The only connection that I had with the Eternals was when who was it? Was in the Avengers. Um, dark hair, uh, sorceress kind of character.
Oh, Cersei.
Cersei, Cersei, who was a lot of fun in the Avengers comic book. She kind of had a thing. She kind of had a thing for Captain America, but she also had a thing for the Black Knight, and
Yes.
she just added a lot of interesting spunk to the storyline of that period in Avengers history. In the writing.
Yeah, I enjoyed both. I enjoyed Love and Thunder too. I mean, I didn't like exactly how disrespectfully they treated the Olympians, but it was good to see the Marvel Olympians in Olympus in Marvel movies. So I forgave them that.
And we finally got to
Yeah,
see Hercules.
Yes, but
right.
unfortunately, we may not get to see Hercules again, or not for quite a while. They were going to make a television show with Hercules, but they decided not to make it. And then he was going to be in one of the Thor movies, and I don't know where that's currently standing.
Yeah, and Kevin Feige said that a lot of those post credit scenes and all that is there's no. They said he says there's no guarantee that they might even show up. Not even Secret Wars even.
Yeah, I don't like the people who do the hating because a lot of stuff that could have been shown isn't being shown. Marvel seemed to be trying to tie up loose ends. So, like in the Lionheart, for instance, they tied up some things from the Iron Man movies, and in the Captain America #4, they tied up some stuff from the Incredible Hulk movies from all the way in the beginning. These were like early on in the Marvel Universe,
Hmm.
and they seem to be wrapping up storylines. So,
Yeah, we finally got to see the leader. I was happy with
Yep.
that.
yeah. And I was happy that they were bringing up these characters. You wonder what happened to them. It's been like 10, 15 years, 20 years maybe since we last saw these characters. And they seem to be making an attempt to close out the multiverse saga with tying up these loose threads. But now they're not making any more TV shows and movies beyond the minimal. A lot of those threads are going to be left untied. And I find that very sad.
Well, if the theory is true that after Secret Wars it'll be basically hitting the reset button, maybe we'll get that second chance.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm still behind. I got to see Daredevil that's on Disney. But every time I go into my Disney channel, I can't really find the series. I know it's there someplace. But every time I look for it, I find the original Daredevil movies with Ben Affleck. Um, so, I don't really
And
care to see that again. And I mean, and I have a copy of it. So I'm sure it's there someplace.
and as for one that did love, always loved alternate realities, I did also love What If.
Yeah, What If
Yeah,
was
I like
cool.
What If too. I have most of those on DVD. I think the Daredevils, I have all of them. I'm missing a Jessica Jones. I'm missing Luke Cage season. I'm missing I think that's it that I'm missing there. And I have most of the CW shows too. I really like the CW for DC.
I did too. I missed those. I'm actually 2 episodes away from the Superman and Lois finale.
Oh
Um,
wow. I'm missing that one. I have the first 3 seasons, so
yeah, the last season I was watching that, and I'm nearing the end, and then something happened in the one episode. I'm like, really, really and I won't say what because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I was like, it kind of I don't know. It didn't sit well with me, but I will watch the rest of it anyway. The last 2 or 3 episodes that are on my DVR. Although I have Max, so I can actually just watch it that way. I don't know why I'm watching it the way I am, but I kind of forgot at that time. So I DVR'd it anyway.
A lot of things are missing. I know we look for things sometimes where they should be and they're not there, and nothing we type in will
Yeah, I
come
would have
up.
thought series. And then at one point I thought that I found it, and then I got a message saying something about the the adult, like as if I had a child protection thing on it, like I didn't have the level, as if there was, you know what I'm talking about, the
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and it's like, no, we don't have any kids, and I'm not worried about my chihuahuas actually, accessing my my Roku and getting in there, and I never changed anything unless I accidentally did it. The settings, that would have prohibited me from seeing adult content, because I certainly see adult, stuff in everything else on Max, and I'm or Disney rather. So I don't know. I hopefully, now it becomes a mission. It's like I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find
Yeah, the quest.
yeah, quest.
How about you, Thomas? Do you like superhero shows as well on TV?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've enjoyed a lot of the Marvel seasons. I loved Loki, by the way, both the seasons of it. Especially the first season, they made numerous references to historical things. The one thing was when in episode 5, when Loki was in the void, there was at one point you see this tank that's covered under moss and all that, and it was an atomic tank that wasn't Toyota trying to introduce to the government, but they never went into production. That which I never heard of and all that. An interesting thing that you brought up though is a YouTuber that's called the Watchtower Database. They usually review our stuff of DC animated universe, but they went over something with Mxyzptlk because there's a Superman comic where Mxyzptlk explains it in this one kid that no matter the version you see of him, it's still him. He's just jumping realities and all that. So he went to test the theory. And what was interesting to note was that when you brought up the CW version, is there's that anime My Adventures with Superman that had the Mxyzptlk that he
Oh,
missed.
cool.
And she missed her bull or hat that gives her extra power. Well, in the CW version, the guy from Reno 911 that plays Mxyzptlk on there, he mentions about the fact I know that hat, I lost it a bit, and it has a lot of power to it. That is something that both those shows mentioned that they have missed to have that extra bowler hat gives the extra power. But they were really two different shows. But it was interesting that they went back to way back to like the Filmation, the Super Friends, the
Hmm.
Superman anime series, and it's like Mxyzptlk always knows everything that Clark gets to Superman. He has weakness to kryptonite, despite the fact just meeting them that proves that point that it's still the same Mxyzptlk. Jump into realities.
Well, that is very cool. One of the shows my wife and I wound up liking a lot is the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very risque, but they did a good job with it. They really fleshed out all the personalities and they were consistent. And then they made a Kite Man sequel. Yeah, where
I
the
watched a few episodes of Kite Man. I thought that was so weird, but it was still fun to watch. I
yeah.
got to get back to that one. Just before earlier today, actually, I was on Max, and I was watching Superman, Man of Tomorrow, an animated movie of Superman, which I thought was very well done. I haven't finished it. Maybe after we're done here tonight, I'll go back to Max and watch it. But that one was good, and I've been watching a little of my adventures with Superman, which is a little different as well.
I saw that in Walmart. Is that any good?
It's interesting. It's kind of a different take. But not bad.
I
It's
might slip
kind
on.
of fun. And then of course, if you have Max, you could also get the Superman animated series that was done. The Tim Daly version.
Yes.
Maybe some
That
other
was
version
it was
of
just I enjoyed it when it was on. I've been enjoying watching it over again, and of course, Gilbert Godfrey did the voice for Mixie Pitlick for that version. you know, and the visual inspiration for that particular series was from the original Mixie-Pedalic from, you know, from the 40s when he was first introduced. You know, he was shorter and he didn't have the orange and purple outfit until, you know, until like the 50s.
They
That
make
were
even they make even the reference to where he's running up and down the street yelling for Victor.
yeah.
But you know, you bring that up, then I also recommend also watching the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited,
Yes.
especially Justice League Starcrossed. Oh my word, I tear up at the ending of that. I was
Oh,
crying.
yeah, that was very good. Yeah.
And then also when you mentioned Harley Quinn, there was also Batman and Harley Quinn, where one of
Yes.
the scenes, and then one of the scenes was where they're trying to track down Poison Ivy, and so Harley Quinn takes Batman and Nightwing to this club that has all the minions to all the Rogues Gallery there, and Rob pulls, and so when Two Face started Batman the Animated Series, he had these twins that initially was voiced by Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees, but they end up doing this song "Don't Pull Your Love for Me, Honey" that was sung by Rob Paulson in stereo. Right, the thing is they're looking around. It was so impressive.
Very
Uh,
good. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for today's conversation, but I've enjoyed this so much that I'm going to rethink the concept for putting the show together where we get to do this more often. So thank you both for being here. I will think about everything that you've said, and I'll send everybody something this weekend sometime. And what do you call it? Let's create something new, different, exciting, and fun.
all right.
I'm up for the adventure.
Good, me too. And how can people contact you?
For me, it's, you know, you can email beamaboard@aol.com or usschallengerco@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook, either at Bob Vosseller or at USS Challenger, and usschallenger.org. So,
Thank you very much. And Thomas?
Well, it's my normal email is tomwaterwitch@live.com, which also I have Lionheart Speed Art on Etsy if you ever want. I do commissions on there. If you want to reach out to my relative Temphia Moonlight, the Mistress of Time, it's at Temphia M on all the social networks, including YouTube and TikTok, and Mist of Epoch at outlook.com is her email address.
Thank you both very much. And thanks to all our listeners for being here. Until next time, joyous journeys and amazing adventures. And I'm glad that we're relaunching the Pride of Olympus. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Hey,
good night.
everyone.
Great to be here.